go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Lunch with the Finance Sponge. I'm Charlene, and we're at Dash Talk Radio Studios, and we have Adrian and Prophetess Branchcombe in the studio with us today. They are the founders of Sound Profit Tax and Finance, and we need you. We need you, so thank you for being here. Now, say hello to my audience.
Hello, audience. How you
Hello,
doing?
audience. Adrian, it's so nice to have you both in the studio with me. Now, Prophetess, you do taxes also. You're an accountant and all of that. So would you guys like to tell me just a little bit about your business?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Charlene. It's such an honor to be here. I'm excited.
Me too.
Because my husband and I are here to share with you some valuable information that we've experienced ourselves. And it's all around financing and helping people like ourselves and families just move into a better place. So a little bit about myself. I have owned my own tax business for the last 20 years.
Okay.
And what I saw over and over was that during the tax season, clients were still coming in with a lot of other questions around challenges with owning homes or trying to buy a car. And so my husband and I started looking at repairing our own credit and stumbled upon this magnificent opportunity, saw that we could change not only our lives, but the lives around us. And so we have expanded our services to now offer credit restoration, but it's actually more than that. It's a full financial protection plan. And so we're really excited about that.
That's amazing. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. What inspired you to take on this additional, because you're busy. Now, we're in a book club together. This is tax season. And she's like, hey, I'd love to be there. But so I know you're really busy, and you have, talk a little bit about your accounting business, because you have clients everywhere.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I've had the pleasure of serving clients. I have clients in 43 states. And I process over 450 tax returns each year. It's been magnificent to get to know families, both from their personal side as well as their business side. And what I really enjoy doing is learning about what they're trying to accomplish, taking either their jobs or whatever their business goals are, and trying to come up with tax strategies that really help them. But I saw again in my business that I was coming up to a place to where even though they had their finances in order, credit was still something that was a challenge. It was still a huge issue for families. And so my husband and I was speaking to him a little bit about our own situation. And baby, you may want to share a little bit more about how we got started.
Yeah, well, I know for myself, I have less than an 800 credit score. So, you know, it was a no-brainer for me. So once I signed up for the services, I also wanted to bless other people with the services.
Right.
So it was a no-brainer. I mean, you know, the company's been real good to us, and we look forward to bringing many more people on to the company.
You know, Adrian, it's funny that you say that, because a lot of times when we fix things that we have issue with, we just fix it and move on. Yes. But for the two of you to want to stop and say, wait a minute, I am successful. You know, I'm creating a great income for myself, but I still need to work on this credit side of things to make sure that my credit is golden too. And then you go through that, right? And you restore your own financial situation on each and every side, not just have like this tilted chair. And then to want to reach out and say, you know what? There are a lot of people in that situation, and I want to help those people too, because, you know, people think that because you're successful and because you can afford to pay your bills, that your credit score is where it should be. And that's usually not the case, because no one teaches us how to create and maintain good credit. Right? It's not taught in high school. It's not taught in college. It's not taught in graduate school. It's not taught anywhere. If you don't luck up on it, or if you don't come from a family that understands how these things work, you're just out there floating, trying to figure it out for yourself. And usually you find out through trial and error. So for the two of you to take this on as a part of your business, and you didn't have to, and that was the point I wanted to make too, is to show that you were already successful. You're a successful couple, you have successful business, and you wanted to do this, to add this to your service, because you were able to fix your situation
Yes.
And now you can help everyone.
Others. Yeah, I want to share some of this is keeping it real too, Charlene. We had decent credit.
Okay.
And I think like a lot of successful, or as it's defined as success, as defined, there are situations that just happen in life.
Oh, absolutely.
And sometimes your credit needs to be adjusted as you move on and as things happen to you. So for myself personally, I went to graduate school. I studied at a very prestigious university here in Southern California. They wear red and gold, go Trojans.
I was just here last week.
And so, but those of you know that, coming out of school, student loan debt is huge. Yes. And so for the first 8 years out of graduate school, I worked in corporate America. And now being a small business owner and completely self-employed, my own debt burden from my student loans became a real challenge for us.
Yes.
And so part of us taking a look at this was because I had to make some own decisions around how to better refinance my student loans, how to pay down debt, how to do it in a way that was going to cost me the least, but to get me out of the debt the fastest.
Right.
And so what I started to see was this was something that I really need to examine to myself because my own financial situation had changed. And because, again, success in corporate America looks a lot different than success as a business owner.
That's right.
And so as we started exploring how to better our own situation, again, like you were saying, this is all about sharing with other people because we're not taught this. I mean, I have a degree, I have an MBA in finance and a degree in a master's in tax.
That's what I'm saying.
And
I have a degree in finance too. They didn't teach
They didn't teach credit.
School.
There was no credit. You know what it was called? It was called leverage.
Yeah, that's not it.
It wasn't for us. And so, to think about that, it's kind of like you learn through the school of hard knocks.
Yes.
And so myself, as I saw over the years, and just having the access to seeing it with different clients, it just was a huge need out there. I want to see more families get into homes like us, and more families buy their homes of their dreams and do things with their kids, go on vacation.
Too many people are being denied because of their credit.
Right.
They're going to these car dealerships and they're walking out with nothing, or if they do get a car, they're paying almost double for it. So we want to help educate.
Right.
Get people, where they need to be as far as financial freedom.
Exactly, because you made a good point. Like, depending on the interest rate, is determined by your FICO score. That's correct. And so, if your FICO score isn't within a certain range, your interest rate is going to be 2 or 3 times, literally, what someone with good credit would get. A person with good credit might get a 1 to 3% interest rate. Exactly. And as your credit score goes down, you might be at 18 to 22%. And what that looks like in money is crazy.
Crazy.
Right.
Crazy.
Your payment could be double and you're driving the same car. You could be driving a Hoopty and I'm driving a Mercedes and it's the same payment.
Yes. And the same thing happens when you think about even larger purchase.
Yes.
Your neighbor next door to you could be living in the same exact home with the same exact floor plan.
That's right.
You could even have the upgraded model, but they could be paying a lot less than you based on your credit score.
That's right.
And so, credit certainly is power. You have to know how to use it to your advantage. And so that when you do make large purchases, you're not paying those high interest rates. And then Adrian touched on a really good point too. A lot of times people are going into dealerships where when your credit is bad, you don't have negotiating power.
You don't.
And so they're just giving you terms that aren't good.
That's right.
But because you don't have the credit history to show that you can pay on time, you're going to be penalized for that, and you're going to pay a lot more.
That's right.
Yeah, a lot of dealerships they encourage bad credit because they know that you're going to tax you for it.
They're going to
they're going to bad credit so I can tax you and charge you more for it. So it's all a setup that we don't have to fall for.
Exactly, and take back the power.
Absolutely.
You don't have to feel powerless when you're doing good. Especially like everybody should be able to buy a home. Everybody should be able to buy a car if they choose to. Those are just things that we should be able to do, and to not have the right to do that because we weren't given a proper education around credit and payments and those things is just not right. So to have people who stand up for that, I jumped at the opportunity to have you guys on the show. When we were talking, I was like, what? You do what? You got to come on the show. Because I talk to entrepreneurs all the time, And a part of some of their hesitation sometimes is the fact that, they're afraid that their credit is going to suffer, or their credit has suffered, so they won't be able to finance what they're trying to create. So that's a big deal.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Yeah,
we're going to come back and we're going to talk about that more in our next segment, because this is a hot topic.
Thank you.
I'm Charline. This is Lunch with the Finance Bunch on Dash Talk Radio, and we'll be right back.
Right.
This is Charline, and we're back in the studio with Adrian and Prophetess, and we're talking about credit and how to establish it, how to grow your credit, how to stay out of challenges. We're going to get into that part of the conversation. They are the founders of Sound Profit Tax and Finance, and they've added a portion of their business that directly speaks to credit, how to get out of debt, debt relief, and even student loans, which is a big deal right now. I mean, that is the biggest ripoff. I could talk 8 hours nonstop about the injustice that's being done to students with debt because they went to school and got an education. They're being penalized for it. And so that's a hot topic for me. And not just hot in that it's trending, hot in that it really makes me angry. So anyway, so we'll get,
Don't get mad, Charline.
I digress. So one question that I have that I think a lot of us may not understand is, what is the difference between credit restoration, credit building, and credit monitoring? What are the difference between those three? Like, what is credit restoration? What does that mean?
Sure. I'll just make it very simple. When you think about restoring something, you're actually fixing it.
Yes.
So when you think about when you're restoring your credit, that means that you've had a previous history of credit where you've had some inaccuracies, some late payments, some things on there that you need to have removed. When it comes to credit building, think about those students who may not have credit history,
Right.
but since they don't have any credit at all, they still have a very low credit score. So in those situations, you actually need to build up your credit, the proof that you can be trusted to make payments on time and that you can do it over time. So that's credit building. And then the last piece of it is credit monitoring. And when you think about today's day and age, you hear so much about identity theft.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So many ways where there are scams out there where people opening accounts. And so credit monitoring is really about making sure that you are getting up-to-date information through your phone or whether it be through email that's telling you about any changes that may be happening on your credit report. And nowadays, you really need to do all three. Either you need to build your credit in some cases, you need to restore or fix some things, but monitoring is so important.
Monitoring is key because, I mean, my son and I were in a restaurant having breakfast. He went up to pay for the breakfast. He was treating me to breakfast, and his card declined. And so we were like, why is his card declining, And so they told him to call, and they said that someone in Washington State was in a store purchasing items with his credit card, and he's standing there. We're in a restaurant in Long Beach having breakfast.
Wow.
So those types of things happen a lot.
Yes.
You know, so to have something come up on your phone that says, yes, someone's using your credit, or did you authorize this?
Alarming.
Would be
Very alarming.
Yeah.
You know what the other interesting thing about that is that it's not automatic for that to come off of your son's credit report.
Right.
So in some cases, you can go through and identify that it was identity theft, but that doesn't mean that it's automatically cleaned up on all of those credit reports.
Wow.
So in those cases, you still a lot of times need credit restoration. And what's great about our services is that we also have attorneys who will work, because a lot of times you will need some legal support in terms of getting some of those things removed from your credit, as well as to deal with any kind of collection calls that come in. So it's in some of those cases, just like you were saying with your son, you could be minding your own business, having breakfast, and before you know it, you've got a whole situation. Your credit score is declined, but you also have to do the work in order to restore that.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. You have to pull your credit, see what's on it. And let's talk about that for a minute, because I think credit is probably one of the scariest things that people are afraid of outside of public speaking. They're afraid to pull their credit report. It's like, no, you say, because I'm in mortgage banking. And so for me, when a person comes to me, to purchase a home, I can always tell if they think their credit is not what it needs to be, because they're very apprehensive about pulling their credit. Either they're apprehensive about pulling their credit because they have great credit and they don't want their score to drop, or they're nervous about pulling it because they don't have good credit maybe, or they don't know what's on it. And by the time you get to me, your credit situation needs to be already handled. Correct. It should not, I can't help you in the way that you can help them. Right? So your step is a necessary step before you get to the car dealer, before you get to the mortgage banker, to get things in order so that this becomes a pleasant experience and not a stressful one.
Exactly, because like you touched on, your credit score is your report card.
Right.
You don't want to walk into some dealership or some real estate company, with the F report card, because it's a good chance you're gonna be declined. So you want to get up to par. You want to educate yourself, and get with some people that can help you.
Yes, absolutely. And like you said earlier,
that's what we offer.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, what you don't want is to have an interest rate that's higher than you should. You don't want to have to go to these off-brand, car dealerships to buy a car and get charged twice the amount, the value of the car, and twice the interest rate with things that could simply be handled, right? And so for the encouragement out there, can the credit be repaired and restored and helped and handled?
Absolutely.
Can that happen?
Absolutely. It is so important for us to all realize that we have a law that's called the Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1971. And what that act does is it protects us and protects our information as consumers. It's what gives you the right to go and to dispute information that's on your credit report, whether it be inaccurate or obsolete information. Those laws also give the protections to those finance agencies that are reporting this information, that they must respond and make sure that they have the proper records in order to actually have that item reported on your report. So you definitely have rights. I also think that it's important that if you need to know how long items stay on your report.
Yes.
They typically stay on there for 7 years unless it's a bankruptcy that will stay 10 years. However, that does not mean that they roll off automatically at the end of that time. So the first thing that you said, it is so key to pull your credit report. There are so many services now where that can be done instantly, but you've got to know what your credit score is. And it's funny that you were saying it's almost like looking in the mirror and that reflection you don't want to see. Naked. But the moment you do it, it's the moment that you can own your body, own where you're at that stage, and then you can develop a plan to move forward. And it's so important with credit, and I agree with you. A lot of times it's the stress, the fear of, I don't want to face this financial situation. But there are proactive things that you can do to ensure that your credit is safeguarded, even if you're going through financial hardships.
I like that. Yes. Now, I got a bunch of questions over here for you because we need to know. So let's get through these questions. So how does your credit score affect your interest rate?
Right. So I think Adrian was alluding to that earlier when you were talking about the credit scores. You want?
Well, pretty much. If you have a real low credit score, you're gonna be paying way high rates. So you don't want that. That's what you don't want.
So the lower your score, the higher the interest rate, right? Yeah, because in mortgage banking, that's
right. So you want to, if that's a problem you're dealing with, you want to get that fixed,
taken care of
as
right
soon as
away.
possible. Today, if you can today.
Right. So what do you tend to see or help your clients with the most?
The main thing is actually moving erroneous and obsolete items on a credit report. So oftentimes, again, people don't know when the last time they've pulled their credit report. And so you've run across cases where people still have balances due from places like Blockbuster Video. When's the last time someone has rented a VH1 tape? But all of these companies are still reporting old information for agencies that are completely shut down, and if you dispute that today, they would remove it because there's no one to respond. And so those are the main things. We also see a lot of health, medical bills. A lot of times people aren't always aware that when you go in for care, that it will result in it coming up on your report as a credit delinquency, and you'll be sent to a collection agency. Those are reported. So we see a lot of that. And then in recent years, just with the way that the economy has been going, it's not uncommon to come across foreclosures, bankruptcies, and repossessions, just because of the economic times.
Absolutely.
And also, just because you close out some things doesn't mean that it's off your credit. Perfect example for me, I've been done paying child support for about 2.5 years.
Right.
They sent me a letter and everything saying, thank you, you're done. But it was still showing up
on the credit.
Report. Yeah. So I have some lawyers that
working on that right now.
They're on it right now, taking care of that. So it's awesome. But if it wasn't for them, I would never know. So,
And I think you really, Adrian, you bring up a great point, because I've seen that in mortgage banking, where a person does not know something is on their credit or it's still having an effect on their credit, and they're going to need help to get it removed, because an attorney now has to get involved, right?
Correct.
Wow, that's amazing. I myself think that this kind of education is so needed. There needs to be more workshops. There needs to be more webinars. There needs to be all of those things. And like you were saying, Prophetess, it's not just one category of person who falls into this category. It's across the board. That with a lot of people, and people suffer in silence. So when we come back, we're going to get more into some more of these questions, so we can get these questions answered from my listeners. So thank you so much for being here. I absolutely love your being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, this is Charlene. This is Lunch with the Finance Bunch on Dash Talk Radio, and we'll be right back. This is Charlene on Lunch with the Finance Bunch, and we're at Dash Talk Radio. And today we have a credit phenomenon going on here. We have people in our studio who can actually help with restoring credit, with monitoring credit, and with rebuilding credit. And so I just want to thank you again, Adrian and Prophetess, for coming in. And you're the founders of Sound Profit Tax and Finances. And we are so happy to have you here, because the questions that you're answering are just phenomenal. So many people want to know what can be done to alleviate their credit situation, and so I'm glad you're here to talk to us about it. We had so many questions, and we answered some of them in the first part, but I have other questions here too. And I feel like I'm like drilling you almost, but it's so necessary, right? So now we talked about the credit rate, your rate that you get when you want to establish credit, or when you're purchasing something, will be higher if your credit score is lower, or if you don't have credit established. And also we talked about, how people can acquire credit that's not favorable, and it can be outside of their control. It could be due to illness. It could be due to a loss of job. When the economy fell apart, I saw FICO scores drop tremendously. It just was a mess all over the place. So here we are in the rebuilding stages, and to have you stand up and say, I want to be counted as someone who can help, is just phenomenal.
Thank you.
So I want to get into more of our questions. When you see, first of all, what should students know about credit? Let's go there.
Charlene, I wanted to mention where our company name came from.
Okay.
One of my favorite books I've been reading it most of my life says in there that our God is not a God of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind.
Absolutely.
And so having that soundness of mind is something that the peace that we all have. But
yes.
And most oftentimes, finance is the one area where we don't have that.
We don't have it.
And so we wanted to declare that for everyone, that you can have a sound, stable financial situation, as well as a good, strong tax base. And so we carry that forward in terms of how we educate and how we work with clients. And so when you think about students in particular, because that's our topic for right now, students, it is so important for students to be aware of the pitfalls, the potential pitfalls of credit, and how to really watch out for them ahead of time. Initially, they will begin to receive offers in the mail that they don't quite understand. What makes me attractive at this point? And all I have to do is sign my name on this line, and you mean someone's going to send me access to money? But oftentimes they're not familiar with the small print. They're not familiar with those
Right.
things that talk about this introductory rate ends at a certain times, and then here's the much higher interest rate.
That's right.
Oftentimes they're not aware that after so many days it's going to be reported as delinquent onto their credit report. And so it's key for students to understand the small print, but also to understand too about some of those obligations that will come to them as students with student loans.
Yeah.
It's the same things. Not all student loans are created equal.
That's right.
There's such a difference as, having those that are privatized student loans and those that are loans that you receive subsidized through your school. The repayment period is a lot different on those. The interest rates are a lot different on those. And so again, for students, it's such sometimes it's alarming to think that they're making such huge financial decisions so early on in life. And they only have them attend maybe one hour workshop, and they give them a loan.
You know what? I in listening
Students
to
out
you
there,
talk,
that student loan.
I
You will
really
pay it
want,
back.
yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna play. You have
You
the
will
only
pay
way
it
you
back.
get away from it is to die,
It's not a
and
gift.
they will leave that debt
not
on
a
your
student
family.
gift. It's a student loan.
No, it's not. It's like the new golden handcuffs. Seriously, and students have debt that they cannot conceive how to pay for in their lifetime in some cases if they don't handle it correctly, right?
Right.
Because most students, the average person coming out of school isn't even getting a job in the career that they went to school for.
Correct.
Because those jobs don't even exist anymore.
Correct.
So
Can
you-
I add, also, a lot of times when some of the students come out of school and they do get jobs, they're not guaranteed to keep those jobs. So
Yes.
how do you
And they pay
do
lower.
how do you replace that 6-figure income and pay back student loans?
Exactly. Or if you never get to the 6 figures.
Or if you never
Because
make it, right.
I see them compromising the salaries of young people all the time.
All the time.
So they don't know how to negotiate either. We need to do a workshop.
We do
It's ridiculous.
workshops.
Yes. The workshops that you do, and I saw that, make so much sense. And I really would encourage parents and students before, it's great when you get the letter, right? And everybody's jumping up and down like, ooh, my daughter, my son got accepted at this school. Oh. I think that one of the steps that needs to happen when you're applying for these schools is there needs to be more than a 1-hour class
Yes.
on debt and on loans and the different types of loans. And I think everybody needs to be in the room.
I would agree.
Whoever is going to be responsible, the parents and the students, and they need to know what they're getting themselves into. And that is not a 1-hour class. That is a full day. Let's have breakfast, break for lunch, and come back. That's an 8-hour, 4-hour in the morning, 4 in the afternoon scenario.
Yes.
Because if not, you can make choices that you will pay for the rest of your adult life.
Yes. And it impacts your entire
entire-
financial situation.
Exactly.
My last point is those people that tend to have high debt also tend to have very low savings. Those with
Right.
very low savings tend to have very low in terms of retirement.
Yes.
So this isn't something that's going to impact you just today. This is a cycle that will continue throughout
Yes.
your life if you don't understand, again, the pitfalls, understand what you're signing on, and really more than anything else, understand how credit places you in a position to where you are going to pay more or you're going to pay less.
Exactly. What kind of clients are you looking for?
So we are looking for clients who need credit repair, or those clients who are just looking to make sure that their finances are overall protected. So, for example, sometimes we work with folks like yourself who are mortgage bankers who work with clients who need to have their credit repaired so that you can then provide your
Right.
services.
Yes.
We work with auto dealerships. We also work with people who are just individuals, cosmetologists. A lot of times you're sitting in a chair getting your hair done and you're talking to your cosmetologist about
right.
your
They're the-
financial.
they're the therapists.
They're the therapists. So we want access to those people who are interested in understanding credit and understanding how to get out of debt. And most importantly, they want to have financial freedom. I mean, it is accessible. We live in a land where there is capital available. We have to be able to take part in that part of the economy.
Okay, so your goal is specific,
Yeah.
and it's to help.
It is to help
It is
and
to
to
help
educate.
and to educate.
Absolutely.
Which in turn creates empowerment,
Absolutely.
right? So leave no student behind.
No student, no parent,
No parent, no person.
no grandparent.
Right. Is there anything new with credit scoring?
Yes, absolutely. We have a new service that we are offering up for clients. You know how the biggest expense in the average person's budget is their rent or their mortgage payment?
Yes.
Except if you don't have a mortgage, you don't get any credit for your rent on your credit report.
Right.
Well, now there's a new credit reporting agency. And there's a service that's called Credit My Rent, and this allows you to actually earn credit points by paying your rent on time monthly. And the great thing about it is that because it's a brand new service, the company also allows you to go back 2 previous years. They will contact your landlord, and so that credit history can also be recorded on your credit report. So when you think about that,
Awesome.
yes,
That's awesome.
A lot more of the population comes in
Into play.
where you can have a positive impact on your credit by just paying your rent every month.
Oh, I like it. This is Charlene. We're on Lunch with the Finance Bunch, and we'll be right back in a moment with more tips on what we can do to improve our credit. This is Charlene, and welcome back to Lunch with the Finance Bunch. And we are on Dash Talk Radio. Today we have in our studio something we all need and, really should just take control of our lives with, and that's being held accountable for and correcting our credit. And I think, over the course of this conversation, the impression I don't want to leave people with is that they feel like they've done something bad. What I really want to leave people with is hope, because there is hope for the corrections that need to be made. Life happens.
Yes.
None of us live in a bubble. Life happens. People lose jobs. People get jobs. People get divorced. People pass away. People have health issues. People are not educated into what this whole credit thing is. So there's a lot that comes with becoming, having a great FICO score so that you can purchase things. There's a lot that comes with that. And what comes with that is being a human being. So I think the first thing we need to do is forgive ourselves.
Absolutely.
Just stop, torturing yourself. Come to someone who can help you, that's there for you, And these conversations are between the person who is helping you and you. It's not a public conversation. So this is a public show, yes, but your interview with the ones who can help you with your credit challenges, that's a private conversation. That's just between you and them, and they're here to help. They're not here to criticize you. They're here to help you. So I wanted to establish that before we move forward.
Yes. I wanted to offer some encouragement too, Charlene,
Yes.
because there's a big myth out there that people sometimes believe that taking things off of your credit is illegal or immoral. And that is just not the case.
It's not the case.
The laws are in place to protect us as consumers.
Yes.
You have the right to dispute and to question anything that's holding back your credit score.
Yes.
And the credit agencies have a process in place to where those reporting agencies have a certain timeline at which they must report the information back. So if those items are removed because all of the steps were not followed, there is nothing illegal about that. You are protected. And what's great about our program is that this actually equips the consumer themselves. So you are engaged in the process. You receive the information right off the bat. You have a personalized dashboard where you can see your report, see which items are being disputed. And then once you receive the letters, that information is coming back to you so that you are aware of what's changing. And I think, again, that is vitally important nowadays.
It's
You have
empowerment.
got to be empowered, and you've got to be educated. It's not going to do us any good if we have you watch a video and then you don't participate in the process.
Yes. I love that. So they get to participate in the process.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. I'm excited about this. And I, for my listening audience, every show is not going to be sexy, but guess what? Being broke and having bad credit, there's nothing sexy about that. There's nothing cute about that, right? So let's get it together.
Absolutely.
So I want you to give us your contact information. I have some more questions, but I want your contact information because I want people to be able to find you, call you, get their questions answered, and get help from you.
Absolutely. The best place to reach us and to keep up to date, we have a website, and that is Sound Profits Solutions. SoundProfitSolutions, and that's Sound Profit Solutions.
Sound Profit Solutions.
Solutions. You can also find us each week, Tuesday evenings. We have a Power of Credit seminar. Our seminar is in Artesia, California. Again, check our website. You can get our address there. We're looking forward to rolling out some webinars, some virtual training, again, to try to accommodate our audience that's outside of the Los Angeles area. But we're just excited about spreading the word, about getting the word out there. If you or someone you know needs help with their credit, don't wait another day. This is a reason. There's a reason why we're sharing this, and this is really touching someone out there. You don't have to continue to walk around with your head held down. You don't have to continue to worry about living paycheck to paycheck. There is help. There are resources for you.
And we have attorneys too, if it gets that deep.
Absolutely.
Right?
We have top attorneys to be assigned to your complex cases that
Ready to fight for you.
ready to fight. Absolutely.
Ooh, I love
Ready to
it.
fight
I
for you.
love it. This is good. Prophetess Adrienne, I'm so happy you came in today.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Yes.
We had a
I
great
mean,
time.
even, all of us are like relieved, like, whoo, there's help out there somewhere for us all, right?
Exactly.
But it's true, we need it. So I thank you, and I thank you for stepping out and being so transparent and being willing to help those who need your help. And so that we'll all be in a position to purchase the homes that we want to live in, to purchase the cars that we want to drive, to have the financial security that we need to move forward, and to absolutely have money put away that's not going towards erroneous debt,
Right.
right? Oh, I love it. You promise you'll come back?
Sound Profit Solutions.
Say that
Absolutely.
again.
SoundProfitSolutions.com.
Yes.
Come see what we're all about. Come get down with the movement. We're here for you.
Exactly. Oh, and with that, we're ready to go. That was just it all. I'm Charlene. This is Lunch with the Finance Bunch. Thank you both so much for coming in. I loved having this show, and I'll definitely want to see you back.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
Our
having
pleasure.
us. Thanks for
Absolutely.
making that real easy for me, though. I help you a little bit.
So we are going to, this is it for us, Lunch with the Finance Bunch, and we're on Dash Talk Radio every day, every day, I wish every day, every Tuesday at noon. Check us out. We have Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram. We have Facebook, and we're all at the Finance Bunch. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Lunch with the Finance Bunch. I'm your host, Miss Charlene, on Dash Talk Radio.
Tuesdays at noon. I'm God's gift.